Zoom back up. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders Podcast, aka The Whip Show. You know what it is. It is the Sean Whip Dog Whipple, and we're going live today on this Wednesday. We're not recording this for the future. We're doing it right here, right now. You don't want to watch AEW anyway. You want to hang out with us because I got a really special guest today. I've had this man on the show multiple times. I had to bring him back to talk about his incredible new book. I have, again, one of the best writers I have ever seen in the world. I'm talking about real big because that's what I do. Author of the brand new WrestleVille Pro Wrestling Vault Volume 2, Vincent Berry. Welcome back to the Whip Show. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on, as always.
For sure, man. Now, bro, I had you on after your last book, and I was already mesmerized about how good that was. You took it to another level this time, man. You took it to another level. But I want to ask you, like, first of all, before we go too deep into this, what made you do it again? I've had you on my show. You talked about how hard it is to create these books, man, and the thought process and everything. What made you want to do it once again?
Well, I didn't want the first Pro Wrestling Vault to be over 400 pages. So, I don't know. I have this, I know it might sound a little corny, but I mean, I have these stories. I want to preserve them, and I want to put them out and have people enjoy them, and I enjoy doing it. I love the stories. I love telling stories. It's just a way to just kind of get it to the people,
Now, okay, I'm glad you said that. So now you make me think you're kind of like one of those musical artists that are posthumous, whether it be a Tupac or a rock star, that even though they're not here anymore, they got like 500 songs in the vault. Do you really got about 500 more stories in the vault that you haven't dropped yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was like, man.
No, and I'll be honest with you, man. I think this might be the end of the line for the Pro Wrestling Vault. I don't think I'm going to do another book like this. I think I'm going to do another autobiography.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, guys, he's talking about his first autobiography, Lance by Chance, an amazing book that they're actually going to be making a movie about Lance. And by the way, with that being said, they're making a movie about Lance Von Erich.
The movie is going to be about the Von Erichs, but he is going to be included in the movie. He's going to have a role.
Did they contact you at all?
I have not been contacted.
Okay.
However, I have read some articles where they've mentioned the book.
They have quoted the book. Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Y'all know is nice.
Hollywood, get on that. Get on it right now. You better contact that man. You know what to do. Well, this again, like I said, this is volume 2 of the Pro Wrestling Vault WrestleVille. And for people that didn't read the first one, the way you do these books is really amazing to me. You not only interview established stars, you interview people up and coming as well. To people that don't know, why did you choose to go that route? Because it'd be easy to just say, I'm going to do a whole book on PJ Black. I'm going to do a whole book on Congo Kong. What made you want to get so many individual stories?
Well, Sean, I'll tell you, I mean, I like writing. I started out writing these short stories of the wrestlers. I've always had this idea of writing a book, but then, committing to the process. I understand why people, never finish the book that they're writing. I totally get that, right? Because I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh my gosh, the process it can be brutal. But with these stories, it doesn't take it doesn't take a whole long time to write a short story. You could do it in a day or so, and then you get, over time, as you could see, some of these this process, I think in the first book, it might have taken me about a year and a half or 2 years to accumulate all those stories. I like telling the stories, and I like sharing them. When you say the veterans and the guys up and coming, I reach out to people who I find interesting. I have no idea where they're going to turn or how their career is going to turn. In this in the new book, I had interviewed Kobe Carino, Jeremiah Plunkett, Terry Morton, and Blake Christian, and all those guys are right now on a pretty Sal Bernardo too. So you never know, right? I mean, and then a couple of the people unfortunately passed away too.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because this list of people that you have on here really is amazing. I'm talking about, which she actually got signed by copy. I don't know if you guys can see that. Jazz. By the way, the signed copy thing, is that still going on?
Yes, it is, and
Okay.
it's a random. You never know which one you're going to get, but.
And like this list that you got this time, man, is so personal to me. I mean, some of these guys, like so you have Jazz, you got Duke the Dumpster Drosy. I've had him on my show, a wonderful guy. Leilani Kai, man, look, the one that really kind of tripped me out, Soraya Knight. You even got a guy that I've actually been in the ring with myself wrestling. I've wrestled Kongo Kong or Osiris in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what was the process of getting these guys? Like, how did you get Soraya? I know you reach out to them, but how did you get these people to even agree? Because a lot of people are still kind of, they're protective of the business. You know what I'm saying? Soraya's an old school person, man.
Right. Yeah, that was very interesting. So, Chaz Moretti. Are you familiar with Chaz Moretti? He's the manager.
Yes.
Okay. Did you know him before the book?
Yes, I did. I was familiar. Yes.
Okay. So me and him, we talk from time to time. We're friends, and I interviewed him. And one day he just says to me, "Hey, man, I'm going to get you Soraya Knight." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, sometimes people say that and it never comes to fruition, and so I try not to get my hopes up, and sure enough, I mean, he sent me a message one time on Facebook. Him and Ricky were connected to it, and she was connected to it, and hey, this is my friend Vinny, and he wants to do an interview with you. And they said, sounds great. And they there's quite the time difference,
Yeah.
And so I think it was like noon or 1 my time, and it might have been 7, 8 or 9 o'clock their time. But yeah, I talked to them, and that day I actually talked to her and Ricky, and I recorded something, and then I wanted to talk to her, and instead of writing a story, I just went ahead and transcribed the interview, like the question and answer that I had with her. And she talked about wrestling, she talked about the business, she talked about the women, how well the women are doing in the business today, and just kind of talked about the business aspect of it. And I just thought I had a really good conversation with her. And that was like, I think that's the last story in the book.
Yes, it is.
And I was trying to wrap things up on the book, but I had that, and I thought, you know what? I don't want to put a book out and not include that, because to me it was so special,
For sure. Now, another thing about you, man, that I really like, because I pay attention, we talk. I also notice you on Facebook. You go hard at promoting your works, man. I see you out there. You're going to different indie shows, pushing your books, selling it. The grind has to be hard. Right before we started this show, what did you tell me? You go through ups and downs. You go through valleys, man. What makes the grind continue for you? Because we can easily say, you know what, I'll put the book out and I'll let the internet do what it does. But you keep going. Why is that?
Well, I mean, there's definitely a part of it that I enjoy about it, right? I mean, I enjoy what I'm doing. It can be exhausting because I work a full-time job, and I'm married, and I have dogs, and I have responsibility.
Yeah, for
I
sure, for
got to
sure.
do stuff.
Real life, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes that gets in the way. One of my writing friends told me one time, and it made sense to me, is that the writing isn't the hard part. It's the finding the time to do it
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
hard part, right? And I can believe that, but there's times I can sit here at the computer and I might have an hour or two and can't even bang out a paragraph, and then there's some days where I'm just like, I can't do it. I gotta stay here. I can't. I'll do it later.
I get it. I get it. Well,
So
another thing about you I like, man, ever since even with the last book, I mean, well, going back to Lance by Chance, you talked about the old territory in Dallas. And then in the last book, you showed a lot of respect to NWA and independent
right.
promotions as a whole. Even this book here, you start off talking about Northern Wrestling Federation. Have you
Yeah.
always had such a respect for the indie circuit, man?
Well, I don't know what it is about the independent scene that I like so much. I mean, I could give you a handful of things. I like the fact that it's affordable. I like the fact that it's personable. I like the fact that you could be the last one in the door and not get a seat, but wherever you stand is decent, right?
Yeah, very true.
And so I like the fact that it's just not new people that hit the independent scene. I mean, you can get to see legends and rising, people who are on the big stage. I mean, today, there's so many people travel the independent scenes because people want to bring them in and people want to see them. And, so I just like the variety of it. I mean, that's where wrestling starts, right?
Yes.
From those little mom and pop companies. Some companies do it well. Some companies don't do it so well. I'm sure you've had the opportunity to see it too. I think the Northern Wrestling Federation does it well. I mean, their history speaks for themselves. They've been in business for 27 years, and they have Roger Ruffin has probably trained several hundred wrestlers.
Yeah, for sure, man. And there's so many stories. Obviously, we can't go into all of them, but I want to touch on a couple of them. And like I said, I want to talk about my boy Congo Kong, man. Now he's from my area. He's from Michigan.
Right.
We actually started at the same time, and I've always said he's actually probably the best big man in the business that hasn't got that super chance yet. And if you guys have never seen Congo Kong, trust me, this man is it. He is it. But were you familiar with Kong before writing the book, or did somebody just connect you with him?
Before I wrote the story, I would see him. I was seeing him on posters, and at that time in like 2017 or when I first started the website, I had a page on there where I was putting posters on there, and that way, because I always wanted to find I stopped doing it because it was too time consuming, but I would get all these posters off Facebook and I put them on one page, and I had them like in the dates where you could go and say, if you were traveling to Cincinnati, if you could, hey man, this show's in Cincinnati. But like I said, I probably did that for about a year or so, and I just couldn't keep on writing and doing that. But that's where I saw Congo Kong. And then I was staying in touch with Sir Mo from Dallas. He's Sir Mo from Men on the Mission. And one day I said, hey, I'm looking for a couple interviews. who can you suggest, or who can you help me with? And he says, well, how about Congo Kong? I never thought in a million years that Congo Kong would do an interview with me, but he did. And I would have never reached out if someone didn't kind of,
Okay.
point him in my direction, because again, I just kind of, I just never even imagined that he'd do it, And I even said to him, I said, wow, I'm kind of surprised that you're talking to me, but
And I'm gonna tell you, when I read it, you kind of shocked me, man, because you talked about him being Steve Wilson. You pulled the curtain back a little bit from the Congo Kong gimmick, the character, because if you don't know Kong, you think he's this big, mean monster
right.
dude, but he's really like the sweetest guy in the world, man.
He is a very, very, very nice man. Very nice. I've had the opportunity to meet him in person. He was at a show that I was at, and we spoke and we talked, and he signed the stickers too. You can get a Kong autograph,
Okay.
And he when we did that story, he said to me, because this is why I said to him, I said, well, I'm kind of surprised because of the gimmick that you're doing an interview with me. And he says, look, man, everybody knows that I'm not this character. Everybody knows that, that there's really a person underneath the makeup and the outfit and whatnot, and so because I asked him, I said, are you okay if I use your name? He goes, well, that's my name. So yeah, he was really cool about it, and it's wrestling, right? It is what it is, and we know what it is.
For sure.
It's great entertainment, man.
For sure, man. Now, like I said, I talked a little bit about you bringing up and comers in the book as well. I got to see this young man in Detroit, actually, and he was working with that Control Your Narrative, which is under EC3. And his name is Deontay Smiley.
Oh, yeah.
Great dude, man. We actually chopped it up a little bit. I've never interviewed him, but we just kind of chopped it up through the DMs, instant message or whatever. Seems like a really good guy, man. How did you meet him, and what was your first take on him? Because he has he's built, but he's not the biggest, strongest guy at all. He's not a guy that just pops by looking at him, but his character, his charisma in the ring was there for me. What about you? What made you even reach out to him?
Okay, well, he was another guy that Sir Mo introduced me to.
Okay.
And Sir Mo has never steered me wrong in the past, so if he'll say, hey, I think this guy deserves some exposure and give him some time, and hey, no problem, man. I don't have a problem doing that. And so I reached out to him. Very nice, very gracious of his time. I think we talked a couple times. Matter of fact, we were just recently talking about doing another podcast together, and I saw him at a match in Dallas, and I was getting ready to leave, and I just kind of waved to him because he was like, it was the end of the night, and he was doing like his little meet and greet.
Yeah.
And I just kind of waved to him. It's not a huge venue, but it was a spacious place. And he was like, hey, come over here. And I came over there, and, he gave me a hug, and then we took a picture together, and he goes, yeah, let's take a picture, man. And so we took a picture, and yeah, I thought that was really nice. It's just, the relationships and the people that you make and you meet in the business, some of them, you'll never run into them again. You may never talk to them again, but then there's some people in the business that are just keep on reoccurring in your life. And you think, wow, man, I would have never thought in a million years that we'd hit it off, and we keep on talking. And you and I have we message each other
Yeah,
and
for
chat
sure.
from time to time. And, but there's some podcasters that, it's like, hey, you ready? Okay, bye. And then I don't talk to them for another
Man,
year.
that's a whole nother podcast talking about that. You right about that, man. And they talk like we're like best friends. I'm like, I love this guy. Then we never hear from him again. But that's neither here nor there. But one thing I like about your books as well, man. Listen, I read, but I'm not like a hell of a reader. You're not going to see me reading Shakespeare or Dickens all the time. Your books are always good reads, but you also mix in some really good photos to really connect with the stories, man. Like, where do you get these photos from, man? Like, obviously you don't just take them off Reddit or anything like that, do you?
Right. No, I don't.
I mean, you
No,
don't want to get sued or anything.
no, I don't do that. What I do is I reach out to the wrestlers, or I know several photographers. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll reach out to say, for example, I'll go to a Facebook page. Okay. Say I go to Dante's, all right, and I find some pictures, and I see that they're all tagged by a certain name. And so I'll reach out to that person who posted that picture, because it's a photographer, right? So I'll say, hey, did you take these pictures? Oh yeah, I took these pictures. Hey, I'm working on this project. I'd like to use the picture. What would it take for me to use the picture? And usually 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, they're just, please just use it and credit me, And so I'll do that. And I used quite a few people like that. I know I have a couple photographers. I got a photographer like in what is it, like the Tennessee, Virginia area, kind of, I guess, Appalachian, I guess you would call that, Appalachian region. I know someone there. I know somebody in North Carolina, and I have a guy in Louisiana that I use quite a few pictures from. So the guy in Louisiana is, he's a great source, because he has like 80% of the photos.
Nice, man. Well, you also are able to get really people that are contracted as well, because the one that blew my mind also, besides Soraya, you got Thunder Rosa. How in the hell did you get All Elite Wrestling / Busted Open Radio's Thunder Rosa to do the agreement? Because Thunder, I'm gonna tell you, and I know you probably know this, she's very protected. Like, she says she doesn't even like social media anymore, because she's so protective of how the fans can be and receive her. So how did you get that one?
Well, I remember seeing her in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, years ago. Like, I don't know what it was, 2015, 2000, early in her career.
Okay.
And I saw her, and I was following her, and I was watching some stuff like in California. And I mean, when because she started over there on the West Coast. Okay. And I was watching her, and then I reached out to her. Well, it had to be in 2017 when I had my website. I reached out to her on Facebook. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Want to do a story with you for my website. And she was like, yeah, sure. Let's set up a time. Never were able to do it. Some time passed. I reached out to her again. She was all for it. But again, we couldn't get the times, she's a mover and a shaker, man.
Yeah,
she's doing a lot of traveling. And I think I might have reached out to her one time. Like, I'm 3 strikes and you're out kind of guy, right? So
for sure.
Then I thought, you know what? I'll let it go. Ended up, she came to my town and wrestled, and I introduced myself to her, and I told her that I've reached out to her. I gave her my card and told her I wanted to do an interview. She says, man, that sounds great. I'd love to. And, we'll figure out a time. Always very nice to me every single time. Ended up when she started Mission Pro. Now she's up in the central part of the state of Texas, right? Mm-hmm. So around the San Antonio area or somewhere in there, or that's where she was. I don't know if she resides there, but that's right. Where her a lot of her shows were based out of that area, right? So I live in South Texas, and I set up with her people to sell books at the show, and me and my wife went up there. We went up there for a weekend in that area. There's a campsite that we liked. I think we went to the campsite, and then we went to, like, they have an old town, and we went in there, and we, spent the whole day like shopping in all these little, tourist places, right? And then we went to the wrestling show, and there she was, standing right there when we walked right in the door. And she wasn't wrestling that night. She was, promoting. She was the promoter. And I just said to her, I said, hey, Rosa, do you remember me? She goes, yeah, I remember you from South Texas. And I said, yeah. And I turned to my wife and I said, honey, you're looking at the #1 woman wrestler right here.
Nice, man.
But I believe it with all my heart, man. I believe it with all my heart.
Thunder is amazing. And Thunder, if you get a chance to see this, get well soon. We want you back in that ring over there in AEW, man. Now, before we close out, man, I got to talk to you about, you got the realest man in the room. And I'm not talking about Enzo. I'm talking about the godfather of pro wrestling magazines, Mr. Bill Apter. And listen, Bill Apter is such a real dude. He was on Busted Open Radio and literally did a freestyle rap. Like, this guy is like with it, man. How was it to actually sit and talk with Bill? I know, it was a couple-page interview, but how was it, man? How did you feel?
Well, okay. I talked to Bill over the phone. Bill's a very busy dude, man. He's another one. And he told me, me and him talked. He called me. He called me on Facebook because I had reached out to him. He called me through the messenger, and I couldn't believe Bill Apter was calling me. I was just, and of course it was Bill Apter, and we had talked for, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I told him what I wanted to do. And he says, how about, because we had troubles hooking up a time, and we had tried to hook up a time. And I think maybe a couple of times it just kind of fell through. And then he just said to me, why don't you do this? Why don't you email me the questions, And so I went ahead and emailed him, and then about a week later, I think he sent them back, and that's why I put it in that form too. Yeah. I just got done reading his book before I had, did that interview. So I wanted to. I enjoyed his book, and I loved the stories about him and his dad. So I wanted to include that in the interview itself.
For sure, man. For sure, man. And he actually has a great book as well, guys. So make sure you get it. I believe it's called Why is Pro It's Pro Wrestling the Fix. I always get his name wrong. I always get mad at but it's something about the book, the wrestler not being broken.
Yeah, it says, is wrestling fixed?
Right,
I didn't know it was broken.
Right. And I know, oh my God, that's so terrible. As a journalist, I feel so terrible. But yes, that is it. But man,
hey, and before we go, Sean, let's just, if you don't mind, I'll just share a couple of the names that are in this book.
Please
and
I
want the listeners to know that these are firsthand accounts. These stories are from the wrestlers themselves, or the manager, or the announcers. These, I talked to them. I wrote the stories. These stories come from their own words, and I know that the dirt sheets these days are a real popular thing. I'm not your man for that. You know,
I'm glad you
I'm not
said
your
that,
man.
man.
That ain't my thing, dude.
But yeah, let's run some of these names down, man. Like you said, we've got RJ City. And if anybody knows about RJ City, that boy is one of the most hilarious,
Yes.
entertaining guys in the world of pro wrestling, man. He does a podcast on AEW right now. Bobby Eaton. I mean,
Bobby Eaton's in this book. Kobe Carino's in this book. Kamala Ugandan Giants in this book. Scott Casey. Mark Lawrence from World Class Championship Wrestling. He was the commentator there. I have Sal Renaro in this book. I don't know if you know who Sheldon Goldberg is, but he's a promoter up in, yeah.
I've actually had Sheldon on my show before. Yes, I'm familiar with Sheldon.
Yeah, he was awesome. Terry Morton, just incredible. Bill Collier, Andrew Anderson, Matty Rinkowski, Mario Mancini.
Yes.
Susan Tex Green. So you've got some amazing. Oh, and Nikita Knight. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with Nikita Knight, she is wrestling in NXT as Thea Hale. Chase University girl.
Listen, y'all, get the book. If you got volume 1, you already know. If you don't, you're going to get volume 1 and volume 2. Trust me. If you're a wrestling fan, like he said, these are first-hand accounts from these people. Kamala's not with us anymore.
That's right.
But you get Kamala's words, man. I mean, you got Just Incredible. You got Kerry Morton, Ricky Morton's son. I mean, it's just so much in this book. I can only say so many good things about it. And I want to ask you this, too, before we go. Like I said, I know you do a lot of the indie scene, but will we see you at WrestleCon and some of those big WrestleFests and some of those big conventions selling the book? Where will people be able to get to meet you in person, man? Because you're a personality now as well. You're a talent now, man.
Well, right now, you know, sometimes I mean, I do get out to some of the small shows. My friend was going to go up to WrestleMania. I wasn't able to go. He was going to go. Something fell through. Some medical things came up with on his side, so he ended up not going. But you know, we're in my friend who I'm talking about is in the book as well. He's the photographer that I wrote about, okay. John Paul LeBlanc.
Okay.
This guy is amazing, and he's the one that helps me with all the pictures, or most of them. And me and him have been really working together for the last 5 years, you know, just kind of helping each other, whatever it is. You know, we've almost met several times, but we haven't, but we talk regular over the phone. We're always sending something back and forth to each other, you know, so, you know, he's probably my right-hand man when it comes to this, but I don't know if they've got a thing called WrestleFest down here that they run in South Texas. Yeah. I'm going to try to get to that in May. Okay. You know, the WrestleCons and stuff, it's really hard for me, Sean, because of, you know, when I work, I've got like, you know, certain days that I can take off, and then there are certain days that I just can't, you know.
Yeah. Understandable, man. Well, guys, let them know where they can get the book at again, man.
You can get the book at russellville.com. And if you're international, if you're outside the United States, you can get it through Amazon KDP. But if you want it signed, go to russellville.com and it'll be signed by, I have signatures by Jazz, Sal Renardo, PJ Black, who else? Andrew Anderson, Kerry Morton, Jeremiah Plunkett. So got some pretty good signatures in this one. Congo Kong.
And let them know how many stories would you say are in this book.
And Leilani Kai also signed.
What? Yeah. What?
Leilani Kai signed some signatures too.
Man, you gonna do your boy like that? Like, I love Jazz and all. Leilani Kai was one of my original crushes, dog. And you didn't. Okay. I thought we were better than that, bro. Fine. No. So.
There's 46 stories in here.
Okay.
Yeah, 46. The first one has 35 short stories. And did you notice the difference in the packaging? Did you kind of notice?
A little
Okay.
bit. I did. I got the other book there. I should go grab it. But regardless, make sure you guys get this one. Go back and get Russellville Volume 1 and get Lance by Chance. Get them all. There you
Yeah,
go.
here's
There you go.
volume 1, has 35 short stories. There's actually 400 pictures in this book. 400, man. And this one has close to 200 pictures. The difference in these books as far as pictures go is that this highlights a lot of events across the United States, independent scenes. You're going to see a lot of promotions and people in here that you may not be familiar with. And this one, all the pictures are in correlation of the stories of the people that are in the stories. A little different packaging. This one also is strongly pays homage to the National Wrestling Alliance as well. This one does.
I'm going to tell you, man, guys, once again, make sure you get the book. We're going to put the link in the caption as well. Even though this man already hurt my feelings because he got me all locked into the books and he's talking about he might not do a volume 3. But just like a wrestler, just like they always say it's over, but they never really retire from doing a certain thing. That's why The Undertaker came back. So Vincent Berry's going to come back with a volume 3. Please believe it. But with that being said, man, as always, thank you for coming on, man. It's a pleasure. I love having you on. You know, anytime you have anything, you can come on my platform and promote it, my brother.
Well, there is another book in the works, so
you already know you already know how to get a hold of me, dog.
Yeah,
And
oh yeah.
Once again, let me make sure it's right on that camera. Wrestleville, Volume 2, the Pro Wrestling Vault. Make sure you guys get it. Author Vincent Berry. Also, if you already have the book, and when you do get the book, make sure you go on Google, write a review, because that helps it right there. Let them people know how great that book is, man. Well, guys, I'm going to get out of here, and you know what to do. Check the video out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's going to be on YouTube and on the audio platforms, iHeart, and all that stuff. Check it out. Share it, tweet it, 5-star it. But I am Whip, and we also have author Vincent Berry. And I will see you next time on the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders podcast, a.k.a. The Whip Show. Take care, guys.